back to AWS On Air. I'm your host, Nathan Peck, and I'm joined by my co-host, Farah.
Hi everyone, my name is Farah Campbell and I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager at AWS.
And we have a guest today.
Hi everyone, my name is Hamza. I am one of the Senior Technical Product Managers at DevOps Guru, and we'll be introducing a cool new feature today, so yeah.
All right, so you said DevOps Guru. Clearly, we just watched the keynote.
Yep.
We learned that DevOps Guru now has log anomaly detection. So tell us a little bit more about this. Well, first of all, let's start out with what DevOps Guru is and what it does for you, and then talk about the new feature.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. So I think I want to kind of step back a little. We've been seeing a lot of kind of challenges coming up with IT ops. I think changing businesses, the need for innovation to be very fast. The fundamental thing you want to make sure is that your application availability is there. And so we kind of took those feedback notes and tried to come up with a service called DevOps Guru, which has been resonating quite well with the customers. And over time, we've got some feedback, which is why we want to incorporate some new features. And something we've really seen is like in the IT ops space, it's been transitioning into more of an AI ops space. You want to leverage ML and AI in a very seamless and easy to use way, so everyone can be assured that their systems are running and all. And so kind of transitioning into now DevOps Guru, what it does, DevOps Guru today, it will ingest metrics, traces. It used to do CloudTrail logs, but we're introducing a new set of logs now as a foundation to kind of understand how your resources are doing. And then if there's any breakage or issues happening in your resources, it will surface up those as insights, and along with kind of providing remediation steps in the form of recommendations. And so one of the fundamental feedback we've received over the past 2 years is that customers want more precise recommendations, and they want more surety and validation that the insights are accurate. And so for that, of course, that's something that takes time, and one of the fundamental things we wanted to do is ingest a new piece of data information, which is logs. And I think every developer and IT operator out there will kind of testify that when they're doing root causation and troubleshooting, the first thing they want to look at is to see, right, I see certain metrics is pointing me towards a certain root cause. What are the logs saying? Are they validating my root cause, or are they pointing towards something more specific? So that allows us to kind of give back to the customer in terms of precise recommendations and giving more accurate insights, so to speak. So that's kind of the overview of the feature.
That totally makes sense to me. So I've written a lot of applications and used different logging frameworks, and one of the trends that I've noticed over time is that logging has become more and more dataful. Like when I have a log line, it's not just now the request. Like I'm tagging that with extra information, like what was the customer that was associated with this request? What was the particular server, instance ID, and all kind of like different pieces of data that I attach to my log lines now. And so it becomes hard to understand and make sense of like what all this data is. And sometimes I have to write these really complex queries to,
of course,
explore the logs and filter them down across different dimensions. How does the DevOps Guru log anomaly detection help me in that scenario?
Of course, that's a great question. I think you touched on some key pieces over there. One thing I want to assure the customers on is security. So you mentioned logs can have PII data, and it can have some really sensitive data, and some of our enterprise customers, they have a big feedback in terms of that. So we made sure in terms of the security design we set up, we are complying by the highest level of standards in terms of security, and they're ready for enterprise, small to medium businesses, etc. So that's kind of one thing I wanted to put out there. In terms of something you said that, right, logs have some very interesting data inside that you individually kind of look through, and that's exactly where this feature, and we'll go through a use case, will really bring some power. So a couple things I want to add over there. One, now DevOps Guru will be more comprehensive, so it allows the customer to look at log enrichment data right there on the console, and actually deep link back to CloudWatch logs if they want to go more at the next step level. Something we're doing now is not only do we go look at logs, but we look at logs when a certain anomalous metric in your operation has come up. So it's very contextualized. And then on top of that, so when an anomaly comes up, we'll go fetch the logs, right? And we'll sift through the logs to bring very key pieces of information. And some of the things that I want to mention, we look at keyword exceptions. We look at numerical anomaly deviation. So imagine an anomaly occurred before it had certain mean, median numbers, and after it spiked, so that should tell us some information. We look at HTTP status errors. We also look at new log formats. And that's where kind of like, with these 4 key pieces of information, not only are we adding value into you pointing towards a more precise root cause, but again, what we're now doing is, with the help of metrics before and more contextualized logs, we are making more precise recommendations, because our recommendations are now driven not only just from the metrics, but from the logs as well. So that's how we're kind of feeding back to the customer that we're making more precise recommendations. Yeah.
So question, so let's say a Lambda function has a latency spike. What will this service do?
I think that's one of the best questions to ask. Lambda function, I think I love Lambda functions. I've coded on it quite a lot. And what I want to point out over there is, I think one of the big concepts for a lot of customers out there is they like to have serverless architectures. So I'd like to kind of hit on that. Lambda is a key component in serverless architecture. And we'll go into a use case today which will talk about a application which is on your serverless architecture. It contains a Lambda function, it contains an API gateway, and it contains a DynamoDB.
Why don't we go ahead and bring up that demo, just so we can see it live.
I think we'll go ahead and queue up the demo. Are we good?
Yeah.
All right. So what you guys see on the screen right now is the kind of main AWS console where you can go into a specific application. So we have Amazon DevOps Guru right here. When you would click on Amazon DevOps Guru, it would, if you have DevOps Guru enabled, it would, and that first screen that you just saw very quickly went through, it was, if you didn't have DevOps Guru, you would enable it. And in this case, this account has DevOps Guru enabled, so we come straight into the dashboard. The dashboard kind of quickly summarizes what the system health is, meaning your accounts, all the applications within your account, how are they doing? So in this very quick example, it's telling you that in your account you have 5 impacted applications and you have an ongoing reactive insight. So what we're going to do now is we're going to dive more into insights, and that's where the power of logs will kind of come in. So the next screen I want to kind of quickly show you is, if you were to click into insights on this left page, it could be reactive or proactive. Reactive insights, as I said, real time. If something happens in your application, it will pop up. Proactive, which we're building on further, will include, as the word says, like we will be able to foresee certain things that are about to happen in your application and provide recommendations for it. So what I want to go into is a specific reactive insight we have set up for you guys to see the power of this new feature called logs. So what you're seeing over here is a application with a 5xx error, and I want to kind of quickly talk about the application. It has a Lambda function, as you kind of mentioned. It has a DynamoDB function that it's communicating with, and then you have an API gateway. And again, these 3 are key components for serverless architecture. So as I look at this console, the first thing you see is an insight overview. It just talks about like, what is this insight mentioning? Like, it'll talk about the severity, it'll talk about like the time, etc. And now the main thing that we want to kind of look at as an operator or a developer, the next things is metrics, logs, and what are those things telling us about this insight? What is this insight, right?
Well, if I could interrupt real quick, one of the things that stood out to me right from the start was there is a sort of thumb up and thumb down at the top, top right. So what is that actually doing?
So I'm going to actually think through as a customer right now, and if you think through, a like and a dislike allows us to know whether you thought the insight was good or not.
Yeah.
And because this is at an insight level, it means that if you give us a thumbs up, it means that we now know that this insight was actually very useful for you. Again, part of the process to make things more precise for you in the future. And then again, on the recommendation side, you will likely see a thumbs up, thumbs down as well. And something we're doing with logs, the enrichment data we show you now, we're going to ask you for a thumbs up, thumbs down. And again, that feedback is extremely valuable for us and in turn for you guys.
So DevOps Guru is going to learn more about my workload and what an anomalous incident looks like based on the sort of thumbs up and thumbs down signals that I give it.
Yeah. And I want to kind of touch upon a key thing, going back to IT ops and AI ops. One of the things folks want with these services is reduction in noise, alarm fatigue configuration. That's a huge issue. So thumbs down, again, we're making things more precise. We're removing false positives. We're suppressing them, allowing things to be more precise for you again. So yeah, great question.
And the other thing I see here is it doesn't look like I had to write a query here anywhere.
Absolutely.
It detected that there was this high, spike in 500 status code from the API gateway, but I never had to say, look at this API gateway, look at this field to find the status code, and look for status codes in the range of 500 to like 599. I never had to type any of that out.
Absolutely.
It just found this this pattern that it detected as this could be a problem.
No,
that's why it's the guru. That's why it's the guru.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's normally you'd have a human guru that you have to hire who is going to have a very high salary to know these things about what a well-functioning system looks like versus a system that is experiencing an outage.
Absolutely.
And here you have automated system that has detected some of those same things and highlighted it. Maybe even helping out junior engineers who don't know how to debug some of these things, getting them to the problem faster.
Absolutely, yeah, agreed. I think that's a great observation. Yeah, absolutely. If you don't mind, we'll continue with the demo.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So what you guys again see, very quick kind of overview again for a recap. You have the Insight overview over here. And we're looking at a serverless architecture. As we scroll down, what else you see on this console is you see metrics, the first section, and again, this logs feature that we launched today, I want to emphasize right now, it's launched for Lambda logs. Again, going back to your question over there, and in the future, we will be adding other resources to form your serverless architecture. And so, the first thing I would do as a developer and operator right now, as I look into these metrics, I try to find something that is related to Lambda. And what you see is you see this duration P90 metric, which is from Lambda. And in the past, that's what you would see. You might have a recommendation against it, you might not. And even if you do have a recommendation, what's to say it's very specific? So again, let's see if we got any information on logs. So the moment you saw a duration Lambda anomaly pop up, it fired off our log anomaly detection model, and it kind of sifts through CloudWatch logs to find relevant logs around the time frame of that anomaly. And that's what you see over here. So
that's what that horizontal line is representing. That this is a period of time in which some anomalous behavior occurred.
Exactly, yeah. So again, going back to it's very contextualized to your operational issues. And what you see in this log group is, if I hover over this barbell, I click on it, it gives me a quick summary of what we've noticed in your logs in the form of enrichment data. Kind of you pointed out, what will we find in these logs? It shows you the number of log records we've kind of scanned, the time frame. It tells you very high level that, hey, we found new format logs, and then we found a keyword exception in your log, or a keyword that we're kind of looking for. And that always excites me, because when you found a keyword, it will likely mean we found a recommendation for you. So what I like to do now is I'll go into details on what this kind of enrichment data looks like. So if you go into the details page on logs, this is where kind of like some very interesting enrichment data comes up, and there's some fantastic engineers and data science people over there who kind of built this for us. And so
this is where like the magic is?
This is where the magic happens. So kudos to the engineering team for making this happen, but yeah. So very quickly up top you see a visualization graph. What does this show you? The purple dots immediately tell you that, hey, we found some log anomalies, right? And this is actually good because it's a live use case. You kind of mentioned thumbs up and thumbs down. We added an aperture form which allows you to tell us and give us some feedback on the log samples you found. Are they useful for you or not? And again, helping us become better over the future, right? So kind of disabling that. As we go back into this visualization, you see the purple dots, but we added relevant events as well. So if a certain event happened, a code deployment, you would see that against this visualization and kind of can help you point towards, okay, what went wrong?
Oh, that sounds amazing. There's so many times when I've wondered, if I do a deployment, how do my logs and metrics change before and after?
Absolutely.
And I want to see like a horizontal line there, a vertical line that says like this is the deployment marker, and at this point in time the new code got deployed, and then we saw a bunch of failures and like exceptions, so clearly that new code was messed up.
Yeah, exactly. But and again, the relevant events would immediately kind of signal towards that, right?
Nice.
So you go back. So even if that relevant event kind of points out quickly what's going on, let's kind of go through and see what log anomalies tell you. So you're seeing a bunch of log anomalies here. The first thing I want to note is I want to break down the log anomaly. What does it mean, right? So you see a sample log message over there, and you see a deep link to go to CloudWatch, so in case you want to go through details and see other log lines, you can do that. Then it gives you like, why are we showing this? So the first kind of log sample we found, it's saying that, hey, we have not seen this event type in the past. And you notice some interesting words in the log line if you look at. You notice DynamoDB, likely related to AWS Dynamo. It shows conditional check failed exception, and I think developers right there, their ears kind of ringing, what's going on, that exception keyword is interesting. So that's what a log anomaly shows, and generally the way I define it's a collection of anomalies, because we also found like how many times did we find this in your logs? It says 295 times, right? So likely a higher occurrence thing, so what's going on? So when I saw this, this exception keyword kind of takes me, there's likely a recommendation, so let's go back and see on the console if we had any recommendations against it. So I'm going to go back into the insight. I will scroll down into our recommendation sections and see if, so you're still getting recommendations based off the metrics alone, but as you scroll down, you'll see something called check DynamoDB conditional expressions. That is the one we were looking for, and that's the one that logs helped us find, and it is a lot more precise than what we've had before.
I particularly love how you have a whole paragraph of text there explaining what this actually means.
Yeah,
like normally I would have to go to a different search in my search bar and search for that exception name to find the documentation about what that exception meant. But here you pulled in essentially some documentation right into the console to tell me, here's the error we saw, here's what that means, and I have an idea of why I might need to go into my code and fix something.
Absolutely, no, exactly. I think a lot of folks, like we might just add documentations generic, but we've been able to now like kind of contextualize, give the root cause, and help out a lot more with information.
I like that.
So if you don't mind, let's kind of dive deep into what this means, right? So going back into the use case we talked about, the serverless use case, DynamoDB was trying to communicate with the Lambda function, and you had an API gateway, so you see a 5xx error across the application. What is the true root cause, and what are the kind of consequences, right? So what this specific recommendation tells you is that, hey, we found the operational underlying anomalous metric called duration, which means that your Lambda latency spiked. And then it's telling you that, hey, we believe that with the exception keyword that we saw, conditional exception, in your DynamoDB log lines, we believe that Lambda was trying to communicate with DynamoDB, and it failed to do so. And what's going on? So when you read the word condition, what does it mean? In a function, you might have defined, hey, this is a condition, x is equal to y or whatever, or go fetch x from DynamoDB. What happened is it tried to find x in DynamoDB's table, it did not find it. And so the communication breaks, latency spike happens, and that's what's going on. So to your point, we've mentioned a few things on what this failure could be, caused by bad data in your table or a strict condition expression, but that's what's
if I could interrupt, we have a question actually from the audience saying that, does this actually work with RDS as well?
Does this work with RDS? So that's a very great question. So one thing I will mention is, because we mentioned that this first launch is linked to Lambda logs, right now what's going to happen is Amazon DevOps Guru still functions and caters for RDS. We give insights, we provide, and we've actually added RDS proactive insights. There was a few launches in the past, so we are providing very accurate insights on that. But when it comes to logs, recommendations based off logs right now are not added from RDS, but that should be something we'll be following up with.
So that would be a different feature of DevOps Guru, but the log anomaly themselves would not be necessarily be relevant to RDS, but it can actually detect anomalies in RDS as well.
Yeah, it can.
Gotcha.
And again, I think what's going to happen in the future is when you do have RDS logs coming in, the enrichment data that we provide, it would be linked to those, and that's how you'd be able to kind of figure things out there. Yeah, but that's a great question.
This looks amazing.
Looks pretty exciting, actually. Look, I mean, so where can customers go to get started? They want to learn more about DevOps Guru.
Absolutely. I think the folks who are already on DevOps Guru, they're going to start seeing this come up on their accounts as enabling. We're going to ask permissions for your logs, and if you do have Lambda functions, you'll enable it, and you'll start seeing this immediately. For folks who are new to DevOps Guru, we'll be providing links through PR, but you can go into AWS DevOps Guru, type that up in Google, and it should kind of take you towards how to get started from the main page itself. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I can't wait to see this tool helping folks to make better sense of their logs, find those errors, and fix them. Make their applications better and more stable.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, great chat.
Yeah, thanks for chatting with us.
Of course.
Stay tuned. In a few minutes, we'll be back with another.